Look at that. Oh. Hello and welcome back to another episode of Explosions and Fire. Let's get right into it. Just the camera.
First, a joke.
Alright, there we go. Much better. Now let's weigh out some urea here. Perfect.
Part of summer is swimming in my pool.
Oh, summer. It sounds good right now after what we just experienced, doesn't it? Grilling out, lawns being mowed, and pools opening. These are some of the things we expect with summer.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to another long overdue episode of the Exotic Thermite Series. It has certainly been a long time since my last video, and we've had a lot of new subscribers in that time, so to show my appreciation for sticking around, I thought we'd have some fun with this one. So
let's just jump into it.
So in this video, I'll be mixing it up a little, and we will be doing some thermite and thermite-related experiments. In no particular order, we will be doing dry ice thermite, fire steel or ferrocerium, ferrotitanium, samarium, cerium. We'll try to cook a chicken wing with thermite and answer the eternal question that is, can you fix a broken flower pot with Flex Seal and successfully use it for another reaction? And finally, a one-off mini-series where I try to make pigments with the heat of a thermite reaction that I'm calling the Things in Thermite series. So we're gonna get to take a close look at my tits. But first, a quick obligatory safety warning. Thermite can be dangerous and unpredictable even in controlled scenarios, and the chances that you'll get the reagents in the same particle size that I have furthers this unpredictability.
Remember, I make these videos to entertain and to educate. They're not for you to emulate, so don't ever try anything like this at home, okay? Okay? Okay.
So now that that's out of the way, let's move on to something more interesting, which was actually suggested by a couple of you guys in the comments. Dry ice thermite. It's technically a thermite reaction, but not like I've done before, so I thought it would fit well here. The setup is pretty simple. Get some dry ice, I'm using pellets as that's all I had, make a little bed of them, pour on some coarse magnesium chips, light it, and cover with more dry ice. The burning magnesium, out of reach of any oxygen, reacts with the carbon dioxide to produce magnesium oxide and carbon, both of which you can see present when broken up after it's finished. Interesting for sure, but not very complicated, so let's move on to something different. Next, we'll try a shot at making ferrotitanium from ilmenite powder, which, as you may have guessed, is a mixed oxide of iron and titanium. It's mostly used as a source of titanium dioxide, but has uses on its own as a sandblasting media or as a flux. Now, if you watched the last video, you'll know that titanium doesn't like to reduce to metal in a typical stoichiometric reaction with aluminum, and ilmenite is not that much different. So again, like the titanium dioxide, this will need to use a boosted formula. Because the other base formula worked so well, I'll be using a modified version, the base formula shown here. Less aluminum, less potassium perchlorate, and more flux. So let's take it outside and see how it works. That seemed to work pretty well, so let's do one more but larger. As they cool, you can see a steel blue color forming in the slag. Let's break them open to see if any metal aggregated at the bottom. And yes, in fact it did. The first reaction yielded 85 grams, and the second one had a larger yield of 118 grams. Now, you may be wondering how to tell if there's actually titanium in this blob of metal and it's not just iron. Well, other than the rainbow of oxide layer on some of the pieces, one good way to test it is to put some of the metal in hydrochloric acid, and then add some 3% hydrogen peroxide to it. The titanium will slowly dissolve into solution and form a purple color. Actually, the beaker here on camera ended up foaming over, but you could see the presence of titanium in this other one I did earlier. Moving right along, next let's try to cook a chicken wing with thermite, and then we can do other reactions while it cools down so I can see how good it tastes later on in this video. So the first thing we'll need to do is get ourselves a chicken wing. Wrap it in aluminum foil, take it outside, and cover it with a non-metal forming thermite like yellow iron oxide. Light it, and that's it. Just let it cool down and wait for the smell of burning fat to stop. Toasty. I think I might be a little burned. In the meantime, let's see if it's possible to use the heat from a thermite reaction to synthesize two different blue pigments, Egyptian blue and Yinmin blue. Even though both of the pigments are thousands of years apart in age, both are made in a similar manner, typically held at high heat in a furnace for some time. The first one, Egyptian blue, also known by its older Latin name, ceruleum, has been found in the paint in ancient Egyptian tombs from before 3000 BC, and most likely was used earlier to that. The formula shown here was typically made by mixing silicon dioxide, black copper oxide, and calcium oxide powders together and heating until blue crystals of calcium copper tetrasilicate form. The other pigment, known as Yinmin blue, named for its constituents, is a much more recent invention, first accidentally synthesized along with a buttload of other related pigments by a professor in 2009 at Oregon State University. While more expensive than other colored pigments, the formula shown here, made of yttrium, indium, and manganese, produces an almost perfect blue color, but can be tweaked to produce yellows and purples. Both of the mixes will be heated in a similar way, using a fluxed yellow iron thermite to keep things slow and to retain its original shape better. An arbitrary amount was placed in their crucibles and surrounded by the mix. Anyway, let's take these outside and see how they do. First we'll do the Egyptian blue. That seemed to work okay. Let's give this time to bake, and let's do the one with the Yin Man. Surprisingly, neither of the crucibles broke, so let's open them up to see if it worked. First, the Egyptian blue. And... nothing. Same color as it started as. Now the Inman. And... nothing again. But this has a slightly more yellow tint than before. My math could very well be off, so there is that. After those failures, I think it's time for some wings, which by now should be cooled off and cooked to perfection. Well, okay, so the aluminum foil did burn off, but the wings look perfect, so let's give it a taste test inside. Alright. Looks done just right. Once again, another successful recipe. So let's give it a try. Let me just get set up here. Alright, let's get our fork and knife. How you're always supposed to eat wings. Perfect. Look at that. Oh! That was absolutely delicious, and now I'm all ready to finish this video. Knowing just how good it tasted makes me regret not trying the grilled sandwich I also made this way. Next on the list, let's do Ferrocerium thermite. I'll say in advance I don't expect to get a chunk of the stuff when it's over, but some sparks would be nice. Ferrocerium, more commonly known as Swedish fire steel or simply fire steel, is an alloy made up of, as expected, iron and cerium, but also contains other rare earth metals such as lanthanum, neodymium, and praseodymium. It's most often encountered as the flint in a lighter, or as a rod included with many camping emergency kits. The rare earth metals added to the iron, when exposed to oxygen, will spontaneously combust, forming the familiar bright sparks. So I figured out the math working for this formula and came up with these numbers here. Will it explode? Will it make sparks? Or will it do nothing? Only one way to find out. When broken apart, even while hot, no sparks are produced. In that case, let's move on to Samarium thermite. Samarium, a member of the lanthanide family of elements, finds most use in samarium cobalt magnets, which, while not as strong as neodymium magnets, can withstand higher temperatures without demagnetizing. The oxide finds use in specialty glass and as a catalyst. Now what you're seeing here is the stoichiometric reaction of the samarium oxide with aluminum, which doesn't do much besides get hot and make some kind of yellow compound at the core of it. So I thought, why not try magnesium instead? So I did. One very interesting property about this that I found is that when small, red-hot pieces are flicked, they produce a shower of sparks. Is it just unreacted magnesium? Maybe, but the color doesn't look like magnesium. Following this train of thought, I wondered if using magnesium instead of aluminum in the ferrocerium thermite would make a difference. So let's test it. Interesting. More vigorous, of course, but still no sparks. It almost seems like something in the mix is holding it back. So let's try just cerium and magnesium. Cerium, also a member of the lanthanides, is most often encountered in the aforementioned fire steel, but the oxide is also used as a polish for glass. Let's see what happens. Friggin' mosquitoes. Well, that sure made a difference. I still can't prove that cerium metal was made in this reaction here, but it's cool nonetheless. I'll tell you what is cool though is
the amazing sealing power of Flex Seal.
I've heard a lot about this miracle in a can before, and when I saw the picture of a flower pot fixed with it on the can, I knew what I had to do. So let's get a can of this black gold, break a flower pot,
That's a lot of damage.
and spray the crap out of it until it holds together. I used about the entire can on it and let it dry completely. I then mixed up about 800 grams of red iron oxide thermite and poured it over a little sand at the bottom. So let's see if it holds together. Maybe I can fix it with more. Hold on. No, it doesn't. And honestly, to my surprise, it actually held together. Long enough at least for the slag to cool and retain its shape. I was waiting with the camera in hopes I'd catch it fall apart, but it was taking so long I thought it wouldn't. I came back later to find it in fact did. Let's see if any iron was produced. And yes, there was. Very impressive. Once again, we find ourselves at the end of another video. Thanks to everyone for sticking around while I was away, and in the next video, we'll get back on track to do bismuth, niobium, copper, molybdenum, and lots more. Thank you everyone for watching, and
Some people think they can eat the Flex Seal family of products. You can. Don't eat them. Don't ingest them in any shape or form. They're not to be eaten.